Hey guys, I just got back and got settled back in from going to the movies. I went to go see Beetlejuice, and I have to tell you guys real quick before I get started. Okay, so this stuff right here, I've mentioned it before. It is really good, but it's dangerous. Okay, let me get comfortable again. Okay, so that it's like 70 grams of sugar. That's like over half of the bottle, right? Okay, so anyways, most Fanta products are pretty high in sugar. Part of my voice, I am like out of it. I have been the last couple days. I have been doing errands, running around, going crazy. Anyways, I just thought I want to get on here real quick. Okay, so you know how conspiratorial I am, watching just different things or whatever it is, and I came across. Okay, so if spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, skip this video. Okay, so the movie overall, okay, I'm just gonna say, entertainment value, it was not that bad. It was actually pretty decent. It was up at the times, compared to, I guess, the one that took place like in like the late 80s, early 90s, or whatever. Okay, I suspect by the end of it, it seems like a cliffhanger. So it seems like there may be a third one, which makes sense because you say Beetlejuice 3 times. But then I thought, well, what if 1 plus 1 Beetlejuice, which was the first one, and this one's called Beetlejuice, so it's 1 plus 2 equals 3. But at the end, they could have, the way they made, I really, really was disappointed at the end in a way, because I'm like, they could have done better. I was slightly confused. I think it seems like, it's like, was it a dream? Was it just one of those things that's in Lydia's head? I don't know. But put that aside. Okay, so apparently Lydia, the way Winona Ryder sounds in this movie, I couldn't get it out of my head. Edward Scissorhands. Okay, so we know in Edward Scissorhands how the movie begins is Winona Ryder is an old lady. And she talks like an old lady. And I'm like, Winona Ryder sounds like that. Like now, she sounds like that. It's weird. But it's like, whoever did her makeup did good. It made it almost look like she didn't really age at all. Of course, then again, if you're conspiratorial, you know why she hasn't aged. So, but Jenny Ortega's character, okay, did great. Jenny Ortega pretty much maintained almost the same demeanor as her Wednesday character. I was kind of hoping there would have been a little bit more hints with Jenny Ortega and Winona Ryder, them, contrasting back and forth, I am disappointed that they only brought in Catherine O'Hara, which was the mom, or AK, the grandma now, and Winona Ryder, and Michael Keaton, obviously, as Beetlejuice. I was a little kind of disappointed in that. I think that it was just them. I don't know why, and I haven't read the tabloids. I haven't dug any deeper in her, so don't attack me for this. I'm pretty sure you guys probably don't know more than me. I just haven't done more. I didn't want to dig into it. I didn't want this video to be very, very long. This is just me coming at you at raw. Okay, just being real. So not knowing really much. So, I had come across thinking, okay, so in true Tim Burton fashion, I do appreciate there was some, I guess, what can I say? A little bit of Easter eggs, I guess. I don't know if you would call them Easter eggs, but it seemed like he kind of hinted a little bit of, and I remember for Christmassy. They've also hinted a little bit of, of some of his other films he's worked on, and so, and I was like, that's kind of interesting, and not just that, but also almost Corpse Bride in a way. I think that was a Tim Burton film, and I thought that was kind of interesting too, because, it gives that with Lydia and Beetlejuice being together, being forced to get married and, nope, you signed a contract, kind of thing and all this stuff. But, I don't know. It just seemed, it also seemed almost musically, and that's the only thing I really, okay, we all know in the first Beetlejuice, the whole, Deo song or whatever, we get it, you know what I mean? We understand that, they did that right, and, which is fine, but, but you also don't think that it would be that, it was just only that song, you know what I mean? Okay, so on the second movie, there was several songs, and it was cheesy. I was expecting a little bit more. It feels like they use the songs as fillers. It felt like it was too. This is like. I'm trying not to be too critical because this is a cult classic for. The franchise itself. They hyped this franchise. I.e., the reason that's why I showed you the drink. And it's the same drink as it is at the movie theater, except movie theater, it's in icy form. But you can get the 20-ounce bottle. I got this at Target. So, but they really, it's like they kind of hyped up a lot. There's a lot of Beetlejuice everything. Between costumes for Halloween and everything. But to me, I think they hyped it up way more than what they should have. Maybe that's just me, but I just feel like, yes, it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. It was a good movie. It was entertaining, and I probably would watch it again if it came on TV, but I wouldn't watch it again in theaters. But I feel like the first movie had a lot more context. It had a lot more, like, there wasn't that much of background, in the first movie, but it was enough to make you feel like you understood the characters. There was trauma that happened that led them to the underworld and, things like that. And, them trying to figure everything out, like how death and how that world works. And then now it's like this movie was more like Michael Keaton had a whole music video and during the wedding ceremony, and then you had some music, and then you had the little children's choir, which was kind of creepy in a way. It was a children's choir that was singing at a funeral, and that was kind of creepy. And that was the only they used that song as some kind of children's church choir singing Deo at a funeral, which was kind of weird, but it was an interesting rendition of it, but that was all. You had some music, here and there, but it was like, come on now, it was like it's like they made it the movie. Like halfway point, it was okay. We're getting some context. We're trying to learn, Jenny Ortega's characters, father and how he supposedly died, and how supposedly, I like how they written in the grandfather, because apparently, I can't remember if he's already dead in real life, or if he was already, or like he just chose not to be a part of it. But they can't have a Catherine O'Hara without her husband. You know what I mean? So they had to write it in somewhere. So he was already dead. I think he died in real life. I didn't, like I said, don't get mad at me because I didn't do my research, but I think he did, hence why they put that in there. But you think if he did, you would have thought maybe they could at least at the end of the movie made it in memory of. So that's what makes me wonder. I don't think he really is dead. He just didn't want to do it. I don't know. And then you have the other characters, who made the movie interesting. I don't see why they could not have joined, especially, I understand. Okay, so they did have mentions of the original husband and wife who were originally in the house, who from the first movie. I can't remember their names, but anyways, I think it's Gina Davis and somebody else. But anyways, they originally mentioned, that they did mention them in the second movie. They mentioned, they moved on and so forth, but they didn't really tie it into. So if you don't know anything about the first one, you are going to be kind of lost watching the second one. But for the most part, you really kind of don't have to see the first one. And you can still see the second one and still kind of understand it and what happened. But, I just feel like y'all had how many years? 15, 20 years. And, since the first one, and this is what you came up with. I don't know, Warner Brothers, I think who did it. I think it's Warner Brothers. I don't know. But I know Warner Brothers owns the music rights. That's all I know. And I do appreciate, though, a little bit of diversity. I noticed that there was one part. I don't know how I feel about it because it's kind of sketchy because, okay, so there's one part where they're supposedly it's like almost like a subway. They're in the underworld, I guess, and they're supposed to hop on a train, and it's literally called the Soul Train. But when they did the Soul Train, there was a whole dancing montage. It was a bunch of dancers and everything like that. Problem is, though, 90-something% of them were 1970s people of color. Yeah. So, I guess it represents them, but at the same time, I'm thinking that was kind of borderline because I'm thinking, I don't know, unless you wonder, it painted them in a good light, but at the same time, it's like, it could have been left out, but it was it was funny, but was it really that funny to use people of color and Soul Train and using the word soul as in dead, and then, but they're dancing and having a great time. And it was and that's the only part they had. There was no other people of color anywhere else in the movie. I think there was maybe I think Danny DeVito's character, he was the janitor that was in the hallway, which I appreciated because that's one of the small characters that you kind of don't think about on the first movie when they first end up dead, the couple, and then they're walking down the hallway and there's a janitor and they're like, excuse me, which door do we go to, where we go, it's a janitor, and he's he's an older man, but yeah. Anyways, and so instead of having him, they had Danny DeVito play the janitor, and the janitor was dead himself, and that's all he did. He was clean, but his role didn't stay alive very long. It was literally maybe 5 minutes, I mean, it really wasn't that long. I mean, he really did not. But it was kind of funny because he was listening to headphones and he was listening to Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett, which I thought was kind of weird. But yeah. There was, I'm trying to think what else I'm missing here. There's so much symbolism in this movie. If you're into the whole conspiracy theory stuff and the whole Freemasonry stuff, I mean, there's a lot to be unpacked. Yeah, people are going to say, okay, yeah, of course, it's Beetlejuice. Yes, the black and whites. We already know. There's checker print everywhere. We had the snakes, which ironically end up killing Catherine O'Hara. It bites her on the neck. She says she was like, oh, it's fine, it's fine because I had their fangs removed, and so I'm going to do like this symbolic thing. On Halloween night, she was going to go to her husband's grave and do this ritual. She said that she mentions Cleopatra, and then Junior Ortega characters at one time talks about the House of Ra. And I mean, it's and then they end up going into somehow during some parts of the movie, they end up being in the sandworms area. And Junior Ortega points out, oh, look, we must be on some kind of planet or one of the moons. Because look, there's Saturn. Now, if you know what you know when it comes to Freemasonry, we know they mentioned Saturn in this. You got the black and white stuff, not to mention anything dead. You got Cleopatra mentioned. You got Catherine O'Hara's character gets bitten on the neck. And then you end up having, at the end, you have, well, not in the end, but like 3/4 of the way, Junior Ortega's character ends up supposedly signing a contract, reading words that looks like a spell, and she gets tricked by a guy who she thinks is just another kid, but he ends up being actually a kid murderer who killed his parents, and he's stuck in a house, and he wants his life back as he died in the 90s, and he had a bunch of 90s vinyl, and she was like pointing that out. She's like, that's kind of weird, kind of cool, but weird. And then, and supposedly he ends up tricking her. She's like wanting to go find her dad, and and he was like, oh yeah, I have the book, and because then she realizes that she can see ghost, so she can see this guy, and he's dead, and supposedly, so he gets her. Oh, he's like, yeah, you can come with me, but because you're alive, you have to read these words, otherwise you can't cross, into the other world. And she's like, oh, so you can help me find my dad, because she misses her dad because her dad died. So she wants to go see her dad. Anyways, which we don't see anything has to do with the dad until like later on. His name was Richard, supposedly, but yeah. Anyways, the dad's name is Richard, which is kind of ironic because I think, isn't Richard is the name of the grandfather or Junior Ortega's character's grandfather's name. I can't remember. But anyways, I thought that was kind of strange. But anyways, she ends up wanting to go find the father, and he was like, well, then in order for you to go through to the underworld like me, you have to read these words. And she reads what it seems maybe could be Latin or some sort, which could be a spell. And I mean, a lot of people think you be careful when you're watching these movies, because when you're listening to these words, you have no idea what they're saying, and you have no idea what it means, and they're telling you what it means, but you're gonna believe what they're saying, right? So anyway, so she reads these words out loud. Next thing you know, she goes in, she's going naively into the underworld and on Halloween night, and yeah, thinking that he's gonna help her find her father. Well, he ends up tracking her to some kind of it's like a subway station of some sort, and that's where she does find her father. He ends up because he's working immigration, which is interesting, and they ended up staying in line, not his line though, but another line, and they go, okay, well, smile. And so she takes a picture, and then she's like, well, that was bright. And then she's like, I feel weird. And he goes, that's weird because I feel fine. And she's like, oh, okay. And then he was like, oh, yeah, maybe that's because, those words that you read? Yeah, well, you just basically agreed to give me your soul so I can come back alive. And now you take my place. Trading souls? What? Okay, so that isn't creepy at all. So now and you're using teenagers, which is crazy. You use a murderous teenager, traded souls with an innocent girl. A smart, innocent girl, because apparently she was smart, throughout the movie. I mean, she read books, and she went, for Halloween, she went as Marie Curie, radiation. Yeah. And I think it's so crazy, I mean, it's funny, though, he knew who she was, but she has this really, weird relationship with her mom, and I think that's kind of strange. I do like how the movie starts off. It gave off this Elvira vibes. Lydia's character, she kind of looks like she's Elvira in a way, without the big boobs, but it's almost like, oh, it's like a podcast, but on TV, and yeah. And the guy that she ends up supposedly hooking up with ends up being this dude who's a very major narcissist. I just hated him. The whole time I hated him, which he got what he deserved in the end, just saying. But, yeah. And I do think that, also I think Tim Burton paid homage to, yeah, that's what it was, Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay, so Beetlejuice's ex-wife, which he mentioned faintly in the first movie, talk about his ex-wife, and so he's running away from her, whatever, and so it kind of goes back in that backstory. It happens, so he ends up killing his ex or his wife at the time when they were alive, because she tried to murder him because, and right before he died, he killed her. So but just kind of dark, but yeah, but what I mean by homage, though, Tim Burton did this because how Michael Keaton's character Beetlejuice killed his ex-wife, he basically sawed her to pieces, and so they ended up locking her up in a bunch of boxes, or each body part was in a different box, and somehow she decides, she gets out of that box, but as she gets out of that box, she's got to put her pieces together, and she does it by stapling, and the way it happens with all the body parts coming together, and it makes a woman, and then she finally stands up, and then she's, of course she's angry and so forth. But I thought that was kind of funny. The first thing that came to my mind was Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. How Sally, how she's sewn together, but Sally is very sweet and loving and innocent, but this woman is total 180, and yet she's stapling herself together. That's what I thought. It was kind of interesting how Tim Burton, they put that in there, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So I mean, yeah. Let's see. I think there's one part where, I guess it's towards the very end, where Michael Keaton's character, he finally, when he finally sees, his ex-wife is back, and she finally finds him, and so forth, and she, she comes, he sees eye to eye with her, and he literally says, "Oh, the F word," but he actually says it, but they actually make a bleep sound. I'm thinking, okay, that's interesting. I mean, it's a PG-13 movie, and but it's the only cuss word in the movie. So yeah, I think the whole movie is, like, again, it's entertainment value. It's not bad, but if you are in, you'll see a lot of symbolism. They are not hiding it anymore. Never mind the black and white. Never mind the, Cleopatra, Saturn. I mean, you've got the dead rising, the switching souls with humans without them knowing, because they read a spell and they don't know what they're reading, and they just read the words out loud, and they're naive and they fall for it, and next thing you know it, you basically traded your soul for somebody else who was a murderer. Yeah. Eventually she does get her soul back, but not without the help of obviously her mom and so forth. But so apparently the parents end up hooking up. They do end up back together again. What I mean by that was Delia and I think his name was Richard. Why can't I remember his name? I can't remember his name. But anyways, Lydia's dad, they do meet together sadly, they're in the afterlife. And so I don't know if there's going to be a 3. Because if there is, the only reason I say there may be a 3, because at the end, it's weird. It's like, you think they tied it up, they said their goodbyes, and they moved on. But then suddenly, Astrid, which is Lydia's daughter, Jenny Ortega's character's name, somehow they're like in Romania, which in real life Romania, and they're walking along, and next thing you know it, she sees a guy who ends up being the guy she traded souls with, because supposedly he went to hell though, because she got her soul back. But so she's a guy who's supposed to be a tour guide to Dracula's castle. Somehow Dracula's involved. And then you got, and then supposedly in this whole thing, quickly it goes to Gina Ortega smiles at this guy. The guy smiles back. Next thing you know it, they're walking down. They got married real quickly. But Jenny Ortega never ages. She gets married. Then next thing you know it, one of the writer's character is standing at the window and saying, yeah, yay, good for you, keep pushing. And then Jenny Ortega is giving birth, but out pops baby Beetlejuice. I'm sorry, but that was the most scariest thing ever in my life. There is a baby Beetlejuice. That scared the crap out of me. If nothing in this movie scares you, that thing will. It's a demon baby. And I'm like, what the heck? So, yeah. Meanwhile, this demon baby pops up around because throughout this whole thing, and then suddenly when that happens, and Jenny takes just like, what? And then she gets shocked, but then she like smiles with it. And then the baby goes, Mama, like, and then suddenly the camera pans to one of the writer's character, waking up out of a dream in bed, but Beetlejuice is laying next to her, but then the camera pans out, like, overhead, and there is no Beetlejuice. It's just Winona Ryder laying in bed, which is like, and then that's the end of the movie. Like, okay, so was it all a dream? Was this whole movie a dream? Was this they can go that way, they can spin it, or we can find out. If there's a third, we can find out, hey, it was all dream, or they can spin it and say that I think they could go that Lydia from the first movie, you know how she was kind of suicidal, dramatic, talking about how she was going to kill herself and all this stuff or whatever. She really wanted to be dead. And I'm wondering, what if she really did die? And this whole entire time she's actually been dead. But then my daughter was like, well, then how do you explain Jenna Ortega's character? And I'm thinking, well, what if Jenna Ortega was dead? But then that doesn't go plot with, the family members can see them and everything. But what if everyone was dead the whole time? Or it could spin it off as that she tried to commit suicide but didn't succeed, and the parents stopped her and then ended up putting her in a mental hospital and she's mental. Because at the beginning of the second movie, she's having to take diazepam. She's having PTSD over Beetlejuice. She's really seeing him. Every time she turns around, she starts freaking out because she thinks she sees him. She's like, but he's not there. She has this weird feeling. Like, to me, that's almost like a PTSD thing. Or you're getting a little delusional here, and you rely on medication. Anxiety, and all that stuff. And I'm thinking something is not right here. So I'm wondering, which another thing is kind of funny because so Winona Ryder's character in the second movie, she's taking diazepam, which is basically a generic version of Valium, which is funny because whenever in the first she mentions how her mom is sleeping with Prince Valium, so she won't wake up. So I thought that was kind of funny. So it's like mother like daughter, and I think Delia mentions that too in the second movie. She's like, well, you were just like how she is, you didn't want, you were basically a brat too, and she was like, but I wasn't like that, like her, how she is, how she is. And it was like how her daughter is. So it's weird. But anyways, guys, so that's my review. I guess the movie could have been better. They could have done with it was a weird Casper move to me. That's all I could think of was Casper. Because I'm like, it was weird because Jenna Ortega ends up kissing this dude, thinking he's a real dude. And they were just randomly kissing and in the bedroom, and then she looks down and she realizes we're floating, and all I could think of was Casper. When Christina Ricci's character kisses Devon Sawa's character, who plays Casper, and they're floating. He's a ghost. And so, yes, but think about this, that in the first movie, at the end, Lydia, she's floating in the air and she's dancing. She's like, so can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? So I'm thinking, did Lydia actually die? Because it was weird. It was almost like at the end of the first movie, where did her parents go? It was like they just coexisted with the dead. I don't know. It was like with the original owners. But it seemed like they left Lydia there with them. So did Lydia actually die? So was Winona Ryder actually really dead? But then that wouldn't make sense for her doing this whole movie. Her livelihood. It wouldn't make sense. So unless the man that she's supposedly with, who's a total narcissist, and I really hate him, unless he's the one who can actually see ghosts, but he helps her along, he makes her the star, basically, or again, it's all in her head, it's not real, or it is real, but it's all for the dead. Everybody in the whole movie is dead, and that's not real life, and I don't know. Or there's or the veil's thin and half are dead and half alive. But who you think is really dead is not really dead or is dead. But the ones you think that are alive are also dead as well. Not all of them are alive, even though they look alive. See how confusing it is? But that's what gets you thinking and talking in the end, because now I'm thinking there has to be a 3, but is it going to take them 20 years to make a 3? You know, because we say Beetlejuice 3 times, so there has to be a third. So if they leave it like this and they don't make another one, I am going to be, and they have to do it before any more main characters die. And Michael Keaton is not living that much more longer. And Renata Ryder, the way her voice sounds throughout the movie, it's crazy. It's almost like she sounds like the old lady from Edward Scissorhands. It's like at the beginning of the movie when she's just there and she's talking, you know, she's telling the story about, you know, Edward Scissorhands, the house on the hill, and the snow and so forth to her granddaughter, you know, that's laying in bed. Anyway, so I'm like, I know during Edward Scissorhands you were faking the old lady sound, but now you sound like her for real. And that's what's creepy about it. So, yeah, and I think, I'm wondering, I can't remember, I think, did Tim Burton do Edward Scissorhands as well? I can't remember. I think he did. Don't quote me on that one, though. But, and that's what's so strange. But, I don't know. Anyways, guys, so this video has been a heck of a lot longer than it needed to be. And I'm going to go. I am peacing out for the night. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And tomorrow's another day. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys have a great week ahead. And I will talk to you guys later. See you guys in the next one. And enjoy. If you do go see the movie, just see it for face value. I hope it didn't spoil anything for you guys. I would, if I were to go see it, honestly, guys, I would wait and go see it. I would see it at a matinee price, or wait till, you know, you have nothing else better to do, and then maybe go see it. But yeah, but if you didn't see the first one and you didn't mind the first one, or you did mind it and you did see it, whatever it is, go see it. I mean, it's something fun right now to go see. There's not a whole lot playing right now in the theaters right now. So, I mean, it makes sense to go see something. I mean, it kind of does help open up the holidays, but I would not see it again. I think they hyped it up way too much. But I think the next movie I really would like to see is Don't Blink, and I would love to go see. I still want to see A Quiet Place Part 2, and then I also want to see Trap, I think it's called, or The Trap, or something like that. I mean, there's several movies I want to go see, but I just have to go see them. I'm trying to think. I don't know. When during this movie, right before the movie started, real quick, they did have the Transformers preview. The newest Transformers coming out. I think it's like something Trans 1 or something like that. I saw a little symbolism in that one too. First of all, why does the girl Transformer have to be pink? Second of all, why it just seems like the Transformers characters, their dialogue is a wannabe Deadpool, and it's like it's not really that funny. They're trying to be funny, but not funny, and they're kind of dumb. And also, it seems very creepy because they make lines like, "Oh, you know, why don't we could rule the world. We're smarter than them. We can do better than them, and one day, it seems like AI. It seems like it's programming kids to like AI, or they're telling you, hey, we are AI. Transformers is AI. They're AI robots. They're like, one day they're like, we used to transform, or maybe one day we'll be able to transform too, you know, and we'll take over. And then you got two characters that are like, why can't we become one? Why do we have to be enemies? And all I'm thinking is, okay, so is it Twitter and Facebook together? You know, and then it mentions someone in there talking about putting like certain parts to make them transform, and I'm thinking transhumanism, and I'm thinking Neuralink, and that's all I can play in my head, because people are gonna, I know you're gonna probably say, hey, it's a kids movie, that's all it is. But as a parent, as an adult, if you watch it, or you just watching the preview. So if you go see Beetlejuice, you'll just probably get this preview, because they'll probably in all the theaters, and no matter what time you see it, you're probably gonna see that preview. If you see it, you're probably gonna be like, what the heck? You listen to dialogue, you listen to you watch what they're doing and what they're saying. It's pretty much there. It's right there. It's in your face. And this is supposed to be for like kids. And I'm like, nope. So I apologize if I offend anybody that likes Transformers, but nope, I won't see it. So I want to throw that out there too real quick. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys have a good weekend. If you see the movie, great. If not, that's okay too. Oh yeah, also in the movie Beetlejuice, the second one, yeah, there's a lot of in the background. You especially Lydia's mom, her artwork. You know, you recognize some artwork pieces because they use some, but she's doing a lot of art, just galleries and so forth. But if you look closely in the backgrounds and some things, you see Baphomet on the wall. You see you see a poster with her dressed with the horns and everything, but it's her face. You see, I mean, there's a lot of symbolism here, and I'm like, okay, we're already open. I mean, the first 15 minutes into the movie, and we're already starting with that. So, I mean, they're already doing the rituals. They're already doing it. It's crazy. But, okay. So, I mean, every aspect of the movie, maybe that's the point. I don't know. I love Tim Burton. I love the darkness of it, but, you know, I'm trying to take it for entertainment value, because other than that, it's getting scary. It's getting really scary, and I support an artist and freedom of art, but when does it cross the line between art and rituals and putting it out there? You know, when does it? Where do you draw your line at? So, yeah. All right. So I don't know. I felt like I had to take a shower. I had to wash everything off of me, say a prayer or something like that, and I got through. But I mean, the movie was okay. It was good for entertainment, but other than that, that's it. But even entertainment can be in your head. And again, why is that one song Deo stuck in my head? And why is the theme song at the beginning, not Deo, but the actual theme song to it, is stuck in my head, and it's still stuck in my head. It's been a couple hours. I've been at home. I have watched TV. I've listened to other songs on the radio, and I've sung along to other songs on the radio and everything, but yet I still got that song in my head. How many other people have got it stuck in their head? It's like, why is it in my head? It's, what did you do to me? You know? I don't know. Maybe I need to say an extra prayer tonight. Who knows? Anyways, guys, have a good night. And I will see you guys in the next video. And, yeah. I don't know. Do you guys like me to do these little reviews of movies and my thoughts? I don't know. Because, I am an AMC A-lister. I think I got the highest one, the premiere one. So I can see up to 3 movies a week if I wanted to. So, I mean, I could go to them and watch movies and then give you a review. I mean, would y'all be up to that? Let me know. And comment down below. And yeah, that's it. Also, guys, check out my podcast, Bean Pod. I just uploaded a part one, possibly part one, of All About Me. I'm thinking about doing a part two. It's the same as my YouTube. So, but again, you could either listen to it on YouTube or listen to it on there because you don't actually have to watch it. So, but this one I like to do because every once in a while I'm just laying in bed. I'm like, I'm gonna just talk about it. Yeah. So, I am gonna drink my little Beetlejuice juice from Fanta, and because I bought it and I don't want to waste it. So, but it is good. It's like it's called Haunted Apple. It's kind of apple. It's fizzy, but it's like it's not like it's got a weirdness to it, but I can explain it. You definitely have to. It's an acquired taste to it. I think after about 3 or 4 sips into it, then you're kind of like, I really like this. I hope it's not bad for me. So, who knows? But anyways, guys, I will see you guys the next one. Have a good night and or good day, good morning, whatever. And I will see you guys in the coming week. Peace out. Bye.